Why are feminists begging for marriage? Hello everyone, and welcome to One Mail. In this video, I will discuss how these feminists are desperate for that ring. What is now going on with their minds? Could this be a trap? Let's dive deeper into this topic and understand what they want. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future. We will discuss Louise Perry's paper, The Feminist Case for Marriage, Liberalization of Divorce is Nothing to Celebrate. She points out that heterosexual marriage rates in the United Kingdom are at an all-time low, with 200,000 in 2020 compared to 400,000 in the early 1970s on April 6, 2022. In the United Kingdom, they eventually implemented no-fault divorce. I suppose there will be a jump now that you can divorce without a good reason. I can't believe the UK introduced this technique 40 to 50 years after the rest of the Western world. Louise sounds like a trap, and here is a portion of what she says in her piece, which I have quoted. The monogamous marriage model has many drawbacks, as sexual revolutionaries correctly point out. Still, it is also the best solution to the challenges presented by the asymmetrical investments men and women make in the reproductive process. The traditional model had wisdom despite its drawbacks. The father was primarily responsible for producing money, while the mother was mainly responsible for caring for the children at home. In an age of labor-saving equipment like washing machines and gas boilers, such a model allows moms and children to be physically together while financially supporting them. In addition, running a family has become less time-intensive, making it more viable for mothers with young children to work outside the home. Attempting to perform the dual roles of mother and father concurrently, as single women are required to do, is impossible, especially on a low income. So she's finally realized that a single divorced mother can't raise a thriving family independently. So, what does she intend to do to get the men to return to the table? She claims that feminists are both correct and incorrect about marriage and then goes on to whine about weddings being too expensive these days and that couples can't get married until they save up for a lavish wedding. She also criticizes men, claiming that all we care about is our sexual activity and relationships in the short term. When it comes to marriage, they are terrified of commitment. This woman is not pleading for conventional marriage to be reinstated. Instead, it appears like she is blaming men. Men are in the top 5 to 10%. What if she criticizes women who sleep with men for giving their virginity away too quickly? But she does not do so. Instead, she stated that to modify the incentive structure, we would want technology that discourages short-termism in male conduct, defends the mother's economic interests, and produces a stable atmosphere for child-rearing. We already have such technology, albeit it is ancient, clumsy, and prone to failure. It's known as a monogamy marriage. But when I hear it, all I hear is that marriage meets the economic demands of women and provides a safe environment for children. For such men, going back to traditional marriage is a step back. Besides, you can't make them marry anyway. You also can't make them stop sleeping with married women and ruining their relationships. Wedding Chapel, Clown World Tour. Louise spends most of the piece appeasing feminists and worshipping their huge hips by pointing out how many solid comments they've made. She also describes how, in the United States, Generation Z is leading an intercourse revolution. No, I don't think so. You're not going to persuade the coaches on the carousel to stop talking. She continues to humiliate men by claiming that the other half of the population is far more physically imposing, far more interested in casual intercourse, and will never be able to get pregnant. In contrast, the other half of the population bears the literal consequences of a sexual encounter gone wrong. When intercourse unexpectedly results in pregnancy, as it still frequently does despite modern contraception, the woman is always left cradling the infant. What she's attempting to communicate is that women will be left carrying the bag. Women can always get rid of the bundle of cells by having an abortion. She also complains that the future looks promising for children whose parents never married in the first place. Unmarried parents are roughly twice as likely as married parents to divorce. As a result, children are either raised by a single parent or live with step-parents, usually a stepfather. Doesn't anyone think it sounds like shaming rhetoric aimed at guys in common law couples with unmarried children? She wants such men to marry for the sake of the rugrats and the woman's well-being. But what about the man exposing himself to divorce rape and ruining his life? Louise continues the piece by discussing another Vice magazine article about radical monogamy, simply another rebranding of marriage and monogamy. The feminists deconstructed marriage, only to rediscover and relabel it as their invention. During the 1960s and 1970s, women's liberation was about breaking women's ties to traditional marriage. They now appear to want it back under a different name to avoid appearing dumb for abandoning it in the first place. There's been a tiny drop in divorce rates, not because of a genuine return to marital duration, but rather because you can't get divorced if you don't get married in the first place, and marriage rates have not stopped declining, Louise adds. In 1968, 8% of children were born to unmarried parents. In 2019, it was nearly 50%. The institution of marriage, as it once existed, is now almost extinct, as they say. But, of course, it's no longer alive. Who wants a divorce hovering over their heads, ready to erupt at any moment? Not me. Why would a man jeopardize his own life to save his ex-wife? Louise and many other women have suddenly discovered the scourge of the single mother's household. She stated that, despite single moms' frequently tremendous attempts, the evidence reveals that, on average, children without biological fathers at home do not fare as well as other children. Boys have a higher incarceration rate, females have a higher rate of teen pregnancy, and both sexes are more likely to have emotional and behavioral difficulties. This is because single women are forced to do everything on their own, including all the earnings and the caring, socializing, and disciplining their children. Many ladies appear to have decided that their adult offspring are an embarrassment and will not be useful idiots or utilities to them in old age. Or they realize they'll be living as single mothers in poverty and will require rescue, but no one arrives. So, they appear to require a male utility worker to earn money to provide a better living for themselves and their children. So, why is the mainstream media now concerned about rising birth rates? Is it because women struggle as single mothers? Is it because fertility rates are so low that they want HBs to have more children? I believe it is mainly motivated by a desire to subjugate men so that the state will not have to spend as much money supporting single mothers. Why take such a significant risk with marriage when you can have a relationship if that's all you want? Women are unwilling to accept responsibility. It's all a feminist fault and non-men who refuse to enter and marry. They blame deadbeat parents, even if they are non-residents who do not pay full child support. Of course, there is wisdom in the old approach, which is the foundation of civilization. But do you believe most women agree to only sleep with one man for the rest of their lives? The advantage of utilizing male beta providers was too great to pass up to maintain a stable society. They were now damning men with marriage rather than rewarding them with it and providing them with both the benefits and duties it entailed. When things go wrong, women blame everyone but themselves and are often resistant to accepting responsibility. If we have any prospect of reverting to a more normal society, returning accountability to women is the way to proceed. Instead, males avoid responsibility because when things go well, the woman takes credit, and when things go wrong, blame the guy. Men will only play rigged games for so long before giving up and going their way. Men's appetites have boundaries. Even Louise, a UK trap thought writer, believes that what men crave is intercourse diversity. Perhaps only the men she wants to date, but the average beta is content to spend his entire life with the same woman. Louise has no understanding of men. If she believes all we want is intercourse, we're not getting married. She appears to fall into the same trap as other women in viewing men as human doings rather than human beings. To the feminists out there, I can say that when you're ready to make genuine compromises and have all the females work together to abolish the rights women were given in exchange for male attention and provision, come back to me. I hope the administration fails by allowing unproductive migrants into the country because that's probably the only thing that'll get you, ladies, back to the bargaining table at this point. Women sometimes think that they know everything about men. Sometimes that is what keeps them from truly understanding men. If they think men are too prideful, I wonder what feminists call themselves. They always believe that it's a competition. In my latest video, I shared a very ironic story about 8 feminists that went on an adventure in the mountains by refusing to follow the men. Check it out if you want to know more about the story.